Close and secure all possible entrances to your home. Switch off all lights. Do not look out of any windows. Do not respond to any knocks on your windows or doors until the all clear is given. Remain silent at all times.
It's like, this dude's too cool for long sentences.
He said the key words. He said,
streaming live around the world, this is Paper Cuts
We call it a poop bag.
with Brad and Jay.
Yeah, it's got a new show.
It came to you, like, basically straight from my brain.
We're not going to have those devil books in here.
We are live.
I don't know about you, but I kind of like those double books. What's going on, everyone?
Those double books are pretty good.
Welcome to Paper Cuts, another exciting episode. I don't even know what episode this is, by the way. 22.
20. Sure, that sounds good. 21 or 22, something like that.
It says 22 at the top there. Maybe 2022 will be the year we break up.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe after this episode.
My name is Jay. I'm joined by Brad over there as usual. And Robert, you're back.
Hello. I just snuck in.
I know you were just on like recently, right? Like
Yeah.
before our little break.
You couldn't keep me away.
Right. So you decided to come back and
I don't know why you
represents
decided to come back.
Spooky House Press Night, and you brought a crew. You brought your posse. You brought your gang.
I did.
Who'd you bring with you this time?
So when Spooky House first started, we got a few submissions of things, and the number one submission that we got that like really got me charged was Michael, who was here tonight. Michael Jess Alexander's collection, Boarded Windows, Dead Leaves.
Nice.
And this was kind of like, when I read this, I sent it to our editor, and he was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, this is definitely one that we should definitely publish this. So we did, and Michael is brilliant, and he staggers me constantly, and his book won 2 awards, which is insane and so cool. And so we have Michael Jess Alexander here. He's the handsome devil with the glasses.
What's going on, Michael? How are you?
How's it going, man?
It's good. You're way too kind. Yeah, it's just it's been a great privilege to work with you, Rob, and I'm just happy to have my book in print. So thank you.
Well, thank you. With a beautiful cover by Danny Nicholas, I will say. He's
I like that cover a lot.
Oh my God, right? Like,
right.
Oh, and then we have with us the writer and illustrator of the most recent book that we've published, which is Deeply Personal, which is illustrated personal ads that are. Oh, everybody's got it.
I'm trying to get like a close up here of the creepy guy on the front. How's that?
Yeah, the creepy guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
I just love where his eyes are. We have Alexis Macaluso, who I'm just very fortunate enough to be friendly with, and I consider a friend, as well as Michael. And we met on Instagram thanks to a mutual friend of ours, Lori. And I've just been like taken and so blown away by Alexis's sense of humor, like just unbelievably funny person. And we put out her book, and it's just so much fun. And the reviews are very kind. Everybody seems to dig it, which I knew that they would, but it's nice to see people really enjoying Alexis's brilliant comedic sensibilities, along with Michael's brilliantly horrific brain that we cracked open for Boarded Windows, Dead Leaves.
So, Alexis, is this true representation of your comedy, of your sense of humor? Then,
Yeah, I think so.
okay.
I mean,
so we should get along then, because I'm a very sarcastic person.
I'm glad anybody else likes it.
So, Robert, this is your crew then. This is the Spooky House Press, right?
Yes, yeah. It's these are our 2 authors that we published thus far. And, there are some projects that we're kicking around now. There's another project that we're kicking around with Alexis that we just started talking about very briefly. But yeah, this is these are the two, and could not be happier with these two being the first two, really. And I feel like there's only,
only up from here.
Right.
Well, it's when you publish,
We
so
go down too, Brad. But come on, we're not going to talk about that.
Well, they're on this show, so
like when we started Spooky House Press, it was like, well, I'm going to put some of my stuff out and other people's stuff, but like I never thought we would put out anything quite as good as Michael and Alexis's books, and it's like, holy shit! I wouldn't publish anything that I didn't love,
Right.
and I just love both of these books and both of these authors. So
Robert, is that the tagline that you put out when you're looking for submissions? That you're not going to publish anything you don't love? Is that what you tell people? Just up front?
Yeah.
Just to set Spooky House Press a little bit aside from everybody else, right?
Yeah, like I it's like it's not about making like $1 zillion. It's about making me happy and about what makes me interested and makes me laugh. Like Alexis's stuff kills me. Like it kills me. I still look at this thing and I still laugh. I still read stories by Michael and I'm still like, God damn it! If only I could be that good. So yeah, I just things like that really, really knock my socks off, and I'm just really happy that these two are a part of that.
What is elevated horror? I see that on your website.
Yeah, I stole that from I stole that from the production company A24.
Okay. So elevated horror is plagiarism.
Oh, for sure. Almost definitely. It's basically like the new trendy phrase. Elevated horror is like what you would call like Lamb or Hereditary or whatever. It's just a way to say horror that might get looked at by the Academy Awards. I guess that's probably like the fancy way to put it. But I just stole it from A24. I do believe in it. I think Michael's collection is certainly elevated horror for sure. I think Michael's collection is as close to like a Brian Evanson type collection that I've ever seen. And Brian Evanson's like my favorite one of my favorite horror authors. So like when I read this, I was like, Jesus Christ, like this is the beginning of like a Brian Evanson type. So yeah.
I don't handle comments that well. You're making it awkward.
Well, I mean, the object is to see how rare we can get you tonight.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
And Brad just actually finished the collection just before.
I finished both of your books today. So I finished Deeply Personal and Border Windows Dead Leaves today, and they were both good.
Yay!
Knocked both of them out in one day. It was last minute. That's how I do it.
Awesome. No,
Jay, I want you to comment on this. Leslie's comment here.
I saw you guys talk about. Well, it was one of your videos. So here's the thing. Like, we've all read Alexis's book. Okay. So Brad and Leslie from the Nerdy Narrative, they want to send you some ramblings I do at 4:00 in the morning. We have a group of us that just has like a little private chat, on Twitter. And I get up like at 3:00 in the morning.
Why?
4:00, my brain's racing, and so I have all these rants and weird things.
The most off the wall stuff.
Yeah, and so when they roll out of bed at 7 or 8 or 9 in the morning, they have all these messages from me. So they want to send them to you so you can illustrate a book like this and freak the hell out of people, basically. So,
why are you up so early?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask as well.
I work by 6. I have 2 young daughters, and I, got to get my stuff done before everyone else gets up. And it's just the way it happens. I mean, I leave for work about 5:15.
Ooh.
Yeah.
My teacher coworkers who all have kids, because
it's called life, guys. It's called life. It's supporting your family, right?
We all have to get to the building early, and they all have kids. They're like, "Yeah, I was up at 4:30. I was at the gym by 5." I was like, "That's crazy."
The gym by 5. That'll never happen.
I will tell you this, and I did this myself too. Just a side story before we get into everyone's work. Probably the last 3 or 4 months, we have a beast of a dog, okay, and probably the last 3 or 4 months, like he's developed wanting to go for a walk before I go to work. So yeah, I'm up at 3 or 3:30, but at 4:00 we're out walking through my neighborhood, and we have to do that now. Like if he hears the basement door open for me to go downstairs to get my shoes or whatever, he's out of bed, he's down there, and he's just waiting for me. So I've developed a little habit of that, so that's one reason I gotta get up early too.
That's kind of cute.
Yeah,
Like that's like a nice thing though. Like walking the neighborhood with the pup. Like I like that.
it's pitch dark. I think one time I scared somebody breaking into a car.
So you were like a Batman.
That was kind of weird.
Then.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. For some reason, everyone else's dog is up at that time, so they're barking at my dog, and I'm breaking up the neighborhood. That's cool. But yeah. Side note. All right, let's get into the work here. Enough about me.
Who do we want to start with? Do you think?
Let's start with deeply personal.
Yeah,
because
ladies first.
These are just ladies first. Yeah, these are just weird stories.
And that's this review too.
That's it. That's it.
That's a good blurb. I don't mind.
So like. Are these all from classified ads like around where you live, or are these just like national classified ads?
No, they're from all over. Some of them are definitely from, I live in West Michigan, I live in Grand Rapids, and a lot of them are from Grand Rapids because it's obviously more fun to look at local stuff. But no, they're from everywhere. I can definitely point to a few that are West Michigan based, but
I just want to know if you were surrounded by weirdos or if the whole United States was weird.
I definitely am a magnet for weirdos, but these are people that, I cross my fingers that I don't know. Some of them seem very sweet, very awesome, and just a little quirky. I got no problem with people who are quirky or eccentric.
So every single one is based on a real ad?
Yeah, they're all real for sure.
That's what makes it even better is that they're all real.
I love the tongue-in-cheek humor that goes through. There seems to be a lot of nudity. So I mean, I don't know what kind of ads you're looking for that you're looking at that time, but it seems like you're looking at a lot of ads with a lot of nudity involved.
Well, I try to do things that are fun to draw, and that's definitely fun to draw, and it definitely some of the weirdness took a hit after COVID. People are just not as interested in getting together with a stranger, unfortunately, but hopefully in a year or two, turns around. People want to hook up with, their neighbors again. We can only pray.
So did you have any classified ads that were just like, I can't put that in a book? That's too bizarre, too out there, too weird.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of them are really filthy, and
that's for volume 2.
Yeah. My kids also see pretty much everything that I draw. There's just no way around it. So I wouldn't necessarily censor myself, but I don't want it to be so out there that my coworkers and neighbors don't want to read it.
So people in your house are
explicit.
People in your house are seeing you draw these naked people, right?
Yes.
And they're like, mommy's drawing naked men again. What's going on with that?
It's the only thing they know. I'm sure they think every mom sits around doing this sort of thing.
Right.
They don't know any different.
Nope. To them, it's just standard mothering.
So is art your background, or what's fill us in on your background as far as the art goes?
I have always really loved to draw and paint, but I don't have any kind of formal training, unfortunately.
Oh, really? No school for any of this?
No, I wouldn't mind going to school and getting an art degree, but that probably isn't going to happen at this point in my life. So, I mean, I have a day job. I work for a construction company, and this is just something that I do for fun because I love it on the side. So I would guess most artists probably have day jobs, but that's my situation. It's just something that I do for fun. And it's great now because my kids can sit and draw with me and we can all work together on our own projects now that they're old enough.
Do you have any like artistic inspirations you draw from? Because Leslie, she says it looks a lot like the Archer cartoon, like the sort of style of it.
Yeah.
I have never seen Archer.
I haven't either.
I mean, I like John Benjamin a lot, so I'm sure it's probably really awesome. I think that my inspirations are probably Robert Crumb, Maurice Sendak, and the old Barbie comic books that I used to read when I was a kid. Those are probably 3 things that I really aspire to.
And those are probably the inspirations for the ones who do Archer, and I think who is it? What's the horse? Bo Jackman or something like that. Yeah. A lot of stuff on Adult Swim. I bet their inspiration is like Robert Crumb and that whole era of artists too. So I think that's why everything's just kind of cyclical, and you start seeing some of the same thing over. So
he's
like
kind of
like the old Turner Classic like cartoons that they used to show back in the day, kind of stuff like C-Lab and stuff like that is very inspired by that stuff.
Yeah.
I just got to say, I'm kind of blown away that you haven't had any formal training.
Right. I know.
Very professional.
Thank you.
I was
very nice.
I was waiting for her to say she had like a graphic design degree and six different comic degrees or something. You know, I don't know what you would do. But
I wish. But you know, going back to school when you have a family and a job, it's no joke.
Right.
So, but it's all right. That's the cool thing with YouTube. You know, you can learn so many things. I mean, I do love to get on YouTube and put on, you know, a video for how to use pastels, how to use colored pencils, and you can really hone your skills that way. And it costs not a thing. You just got to have the patience to do it. So it's pretty cool. This is a cool time that we live in.
I have like just a funny little anecdote, I guess, about the art, if I could. So like when Alexis and I were going back and forth with like ideas for like the cover and stuff, which really was like not many back and forth because she nailed it on like the first try. And she sent it, and I love pastel colors. Like this is like my vibe for days. So like as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, I got so jazzed about it. I was like, yeah, no, that has to be exactly it. Like it just looks so damn good. Like I don't know. I just love how sharp it is and everything. So it's enough from me.
Thank you.
What medium?
Go ahead, Brad.
What medium did you use for the art? Like, is this all hand drawn, or did you do it digitally, or?
No, I did it digitally. I have an iPad, and I got it during the shutdown. I have a friend, Mark Hensley, and he is a blogger for this website called tvvcr.com. So he's really writer and artist, but he was kind of encouraging me to maybe try digital drawing. And I said, I don't know, like, I really just love the physical medium of sitting down with a pen or a pencil. I just don't think that's for me. And then, you know, COVID came, everything was shut down, and my brother said, let's collaborate on a project. And he wanted to do some YouTube animations. And I was like, well, you know, we got some government money coming in. And, you know, I thought, I'll give it a shot. I got my iPad. And the one cool thing, I mean, as we talk about having jobs and kids and everything, I was like, I can get so much done in such a shorter amount of time drawing digitally. And I still love to draw with a pen and paper, but, you know, you can make edits so fast. You can try new things without scrapping your whole project. So for anybody out there who is maybe working on a short schedule, it's awesome. I use free software. I got a $20 like knockoff Apple Pencil, and you know, obviously an iPad or a tablet is a big expense, but if you can swing that, it's pretty nice to be able to experiment and do so many different things and try new styles without you know, you can just turn things around a little bit faster, and it might not have some of the charm of hand-drawn, you know, physical art, but it definitely has its advantages for sure, especially for somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of free time.
How long?
Probably more. Go ahead.
Well, I was just wondering, how long have you been doing the digital art as opposed to the more analog?
Not long. I mean, like I said, I guess when 2020, I suppose, like right after everything here in Michigan, everything kind of shut down in April, late, I guess like March 30th. And pretty shortly after that, me and my brother started working on our YouTube channel. So yeah, I mean, it's so easy with all of the new tech and the Apple Pencil or my knockoff, whatever crab Apple Pencil. You can really do everything
Granny
that you would
Smith.
normally do, and you can kind of get back to your own style. So it's really amazing. I love it. It's been a lot of fun, and I
What-
never would have done it on my own without.
What's
other
the YouTube
people.
channel?
It's called Nightwaves TV, Nightwaves Horror. But I'll have to send you a link because there's so much stuff on YouTube that if you don't look up a very specific
Right.
thing, it's not going to pop up.
Uh-huh.
But I'm hoping that we can kick that off again soon. But it kind of took a backseat with other projects that we both had going on.
So
Alexis and her
is that
crew-
art? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Alexis and her crew did the trailer, the book trailer for my collection, and that was like the first thing that we ever did together.
Okay, so it's art in motion. Then the YouTube channel is art actual motion for your art.
Yeah, and
Okay.
they were my brother Jeremy and then his friend Ben. We worked on those together, and they're just like really quick, like 2-minute scary stories, and they're kind of animated. Some is just like still images, and
Okay.
It's like a motion comic,
Kind of like creepypastas in a way.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know what anything is. I'm very out of touch with everything, so I don't know. But yeah, so it was really fun. One of, like Rob said, our mutual friend on Instagram kind of hooked us up, and so what a stroke of luck. I mean, she's a person I don't think either of us have ever even met in real life yet. So our friendship on there really kind of turned into a nice creative partnership. So it's pretty cool.
So let me ask you this, not to get too deep because it is Friday night, but what
It's
was
called
your
deeply personal, Jay. So
that is true.
Yeah.
That is true. What were your intentions? I mean, did you want to get this published? Did you want to get out there? Are there going to be more like this in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I have in my head, I guess, 2 kind of main projects that I'd like to do. But when I started drawing those, I was just drawing them by hand, and I was coloring them in with watercolor. And I was putting them up on Instagram just to kind of give myself some accountability and to give myself a motivation to draw, and to be creative and to try to find some outlets outside of work and parenting, which are both wonderful things. But I really missed the creative side. And I guess, to be honest, to have the comics be published and put out in the world and get some positive feedback is really like my most wild dream, my most wild daydream that I could have had when I was putting those on there. So it really, although they are like pervy little comics that I did on an iPad, it really is like a dream come true for me. And that does sound very sad when I say it out loud, but it's true.
was there like a certain moment that was like, oh, I want to put this all together in a book, like a certain spark that kicked that off? Or
No, Rob was like looking at my Instagram and he was like, oh man, we should do a book of these. And I said, I'm screenshotting this. Don't say that to me if you don't mean it, because
I mean, we could say that the pervy drawings that you have is right up Rob's alley. We now know we now know what the P stands for. Robert Pervy or Tone. So, there we go.
Most definitely right up, man.
So now that you've done this though, and you could do the art, have you thought about like illustrating like children's books, writing your own children's books, or anything along the lines of that?
Well, I have 2 kind of projects that I'm sort of trying to decide which one do I really want to pursue, because it does take quite a lot of my focus to get anything done. I'm a busy person, but then one of them would be probably maybe hand drawn, maybe digital, but I would really want to put a lot of work and detail into the art, more so than I did with this one. No offense to the book, but that one would be probably more of a strange and surreal kind of story, which would be based on a lot of my experiences with my family and people I know kind of struggling with mental illness. So that one would be kind of a bummer, and I don't know if people really want to read anything that depressing. And then another thing I'm kind of kicking around would be 3 short stories which are funny about some of the goings on in my neighborhood and my friend's neighborhood around Grand Rapids. We've got some strange stuff that we've borne witness to. So that would be more funny. And so I'm just trying to decide where to go now. The dramatic one is more of, I guess, a passion project, but people obviously respond to humor. So I don't know. Maybe people don't want
I'm going to show my age here in a second, but yeah, a lot of it kind of reminds me of Adult Swim, the whole style. But some of it actually reminds me of some of the little cartoons that would be in Playboy magazine. Okay, and I know I'm showing my age now because I mean I don't remember. Is that even still a magazine? I don't know.
Yeah, it still is.
I don't know. I mean I haven't looked. You know.
I've
been married 16 years, guys. I haven't looked up, but still. But no, some of the older ones, they would have some of the, little cartoons like this, and they would be pervy too, just like some of this. And
you're getting burned in the chat here.
Yeah,
it's people I'm used to. Trust me. Yeah.
I agree with you, Jay. That it reminded me of that too.
Yeah.
So I've read Playboy. Let's go. Like, come on.
For the articles, right? So.
Of course.
a lot of big writers got their start writing articles.
Stephen King had short stories in Playboy.
80s and early 90s. A lot of like big time writers actually got their start in Playboy.
Yeah. And they for a long time they transitioned to only articles and only short stories and stuff. So
they did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you see, they don't do that anymore, so they didn't last.
Yeah, they went back.
Yeah, it was like
one issue.
Sales went down. Yeah, all the sales went down.
Well, if anyone watching this is a magazine editor, powerful publisher, has some money to throw around, I will do anything. I will draw anything for anyone.
Nice.
I have no qualms. I have no standards. Hit me up.
Oh, nice.
So have you thought about maybe doing book covers or anything for anybody?
Anybody that wants me to. I mean, I really am clueless about. I don't know how to go about like marketing myself. I really don't. I mean,
It's all sort of brand new to you then.
Right.
It is. I mean, I really don't know. And sure, I mean, I'd love to. I don't know how to go about doing any of that stuff. So if anybody has any tips for me, I'd love it. I'll take it. I don't know anything about it.
Help her out, Robert. Come on.
I'd also, hey man, I'd also like to say,
you got this in the world, Jay. Come on now.
Alexis designed our new logo. She designed the new
like the logo.
PS Press logo. So like that was Alexis as well. So logo design, all of that stuff. Like she can do it all, y'all. Figure it out.
Thank you.
Some of the other indie presses like refresh that logo. Come on.
Because I was reading Michael's book and it had a different logo on there, so I was like, when did it change? So she did the new one. I like the ghost a lot.
Yeah, I like the ghost a lot too. That was all her. So damn good. Andreas's comment is pretty fabulous there. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, maybe it's a sign. I have been sketching it out and doing some storyboarding and everything. So, I mean, I like to read all sorts of things. Well, not all sorts of things. Scary things, funny things, and some downer things too. 3 things.
And we are open to all the things at Spooky Press. So.
Ooh, there's a Grand Rapids guy on here. There's a Jenison guy on here.
Oh, nice.
Dang.
Sorry about you guys.
Jay's an Ohio State fan.
With West Michigan.
He lives in Ohio, so
that state doesn't exist to me. Sorry.
It's a sports ball reference, right, Jay?
Yeah.
Sports ball.
So you have a website for just your art, though, for like a portfolio or anything?
No, dude, I don't.
I'd probably start with that, because there are a lot of people who make covers for books and stuff, and they have them on their website just for people to ready to go and buy, some pre-made stuff, but the stuff you could put certain titles on and everything. Just a suggestion. I don't know.
No, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I should probably give it some thought. I'm not very, I'm just more, I guess, focused on my next creative project.
Right.
But it's not the most effective money-making, tactic, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I could send you some links of stuff if you're interested in that.
Thank you. That would be nice.
Well, here's two writers right here, Michael and Robert. They're writers. Maybe their next cover for their book will come through you. I just put them on. I just put both of them on the spot too. By the way.
Yeah, I'm into that.
Hunter in the chat. That sounds good to me. Get my Instagram. That'd be awesome.
There you go. Making connections.
Okay.
We've succeeded, Brad.
There you go. Show's over. We're done.
Yeah. Let's hop over to Michael a little bit here with this.
Talk about Michael's book.
Yeah, because you just finished it just before we. I haven't finished
I
it.
did.
I admit I didn't finish it, but
it was a quick little read. I read it in about 2.5 hours or so.
Yeah,
it was good.
yeah.
So what was your ideas behind that one? Sort of creating. Did you have your stories in different like publications and just decide to put them together? Or?
Yeah. That's exactly it.
is there a theme overall? Did you see a theme?
There really isn't. And I kind of wish that there were. So like the next collection that I hope to, I really haven't written a whole ton since then, but I do hope to have a more cohesive theme. But yeah, they're fairly eclectic, as you can tell if you read the collection.
Where did the title of the book come from? Because I really dig the title.
Oh, thank you. I really don't know how to answer that. It just out of the ether, I suppose. Just popped in the head.
Because while I was reading it, there's one story, not too many stories, but there's one about zombies and the guy's looking out this boarded window, and the next one is about them going to the werewolf cemetery with all the dead leaves. So that's where, in my mind, where the title came from.
So that's actually kind of funny that you mentioned those two particular stories, because I had initially planned on titling the collection Werewolf Cemetery. And that was actually before I even had written that particular story. And I felt kind of bad. I thought, I probably should have a werewolf story in the collection if that's the title.
If that's what it's called.
And then I wrote that story, and I happened upon, or I thought of Boarded Windows, Dead Leaves. I'm a huge zombie fan, like that subgenre, since I can, as far back as I can remember, that's been like my jam. So, I mean, I think I did definitely have that in mind as I was trying to come up with the title.
I think zombies will come back once we're done with the Walking Dead garbage.
Yeah, I stopped watching after what they did to Glenn.
Yeah, when Negan came in, a lot of people didn't like that.
Yeah,
I didn't
is it still on?
So much. I
think it's the final season.
Okay,
so it might be over now because they usually wrap up in like February or so.
Okay.
Well, aren't they making some movies?
Really?
Supposedly, because Rick hasn't been on there for a while, so supposedly
Yeah.
he's getting his own like 3 or 4 solo movies. I think they're going to be on AMC, not necessarily in the theaters. But
oh, okay.
I remember reading that comic book when it first came out, and I was like, I don't give a shit.
But the zombies in the show, I haven't seen the show, but I will pull up the pictures and use them as like drawing inspiration. The zombies are so cool.
They are cool.
Yeah.
They're
Awesome.
super cool.
Greg Nicotero does a lot of good stuff on the practical
Right.
makeup and everything.
Yeah. Day of the Dead is my all-time favorite zombie movie, and he has a bit part in that, but he helped with the effects, of course. So
Yeah, that's when he was a little baby back then doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's cool. A lot of people in the writing community and reading community still like zombies. Like a good zombie story really kind of hits you. But then, you talk to people outside of that, and you talk about zombies. They're like, oh, they're so played now because The Walking Dead just watered it down so much. There's just so much. I think if you take a break, you know how things repeat themselves.
Yeah.
History repeats. So
It's
take
like
a break a little bit. So
It's exposure too. Like if you're exposed every week, and in the
Right.
Walking Dead case, there's 3 different shows, and now there's also a Day of the Dead show from Scott Thomas.
is there really?
Yeah, but you know, like that's I haven't seen all of it yet. I've only seen a couple episodes, but like Scott Thomas rules. So like I'll watch anything he's associated with and read anything he's written. But yeah, like if you're exposed to something over and over and over again,
right,
then it's gonna get played. It's like vampires. Like vampires are everywhere.
Yeah.
They're still everywhere. Like vampires are kind of now, but they'll come back. Zombies will come back.
Yeah, if done right. I mean, like Twilight kind of ruined. Is that Twilight? Yeah, that kind of ruined vampires for me for a bit. And I never watched the movie. I never seen one movie of that series, but just seeing the preview.
There is a riff.
What the hell is this? What's that?
There's a riff tracks of the original, and it makes it worth watching.
I wrote an article talking about, I referenced Twilight and like, oh, nobody likes sparkly vampires or whatever. But I thought about how cool it was that they did sparkle. There we go. Vampires are always cool unless they sparkle. I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool that they do sparkle because that adds something to the mythos, and you can sort of see like, oh shit, they get hit with sunlight, they burst into flames. But like, no, maybe they're just sparkling and they run away because they're being seen by people. Like, I don't know. I dug that. I never saw any of the movies. I never read any of the books, but like, I think that's neat. And Stephanie Meyer made an ocean of money from it. So that's cool too.
I cannot begrudge anybody who, you know, enjoys their particular fandom. I certainly have my own geeky interests, so, you know.
Yeah, like vampires, werewolves, zombies, they're never going to go away. Like I said, they might go up and down the popularity, but they'll always be a mainstay.
It's like a good haunted house story. You know, anytime there's like a really strong haunted house, and I mentioned Scott Thomas or whatever before, like he wrote, in my opinion, like the best haunted house story in like 20 years, or the best haunted house book in like 20 years, and it's Kill Creek. So like anything that he does, I'll be like, yep, I'm in.
I've got that one down there. I need to read it still.
Dude, it's awesome. But yeah, like it's hard when stuff like that comes around. And I think there's we're just hearing about something, a vampire thing the other day that sounded really dope, and I don't remember. I feel bad that I don't remember who's writing it, but it sounded pretty cool. So I don't know. Maybe vampires are coming back.
Well, Rob, did you see that BBC production of Dracula that came out? I think.
Oh, I did watch that actually.
It's on Netflix.
Was good. That was good.
The thing on Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
it was three episodes, I think, and they were like about an hour and a half each.
Yeah, and it was the guy who did Sherlock, like the showrunner behind
That's
that.
cool.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I'd like to.
I think those were originally BBC. I think Netflix grabbed them and
scooped
shut
them
them
up,
for a while. Yeah.
I'm not a Netflix confuses me. The way that Netflix is laid out, I get so overwhelmed and confused by it. I just hand the controller to my wife. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. But like, give me Hulu or like any of the other ones. I'm like, yeah, I got you. Like, this is nice and easy. But like, Netflix is overwhelming to me.
Hulu is much harder to navigate through than Netflix.
You think so?
I think they're about the same. I mean, they're all.
Every time I get on Netflix to watch something, we just scroll and scroll and scroll, and by the time we get on scrolling, we don't even care to watch anything.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, they're all like that. Like every single one we have, I have a growing of my list that I never get to, and I keep adding to it.
That's why I like Shudder, because Shudder cycles things in and out, and like if they add something, like you better watch it because that'll be gone in a month.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what makes that so exciting to me. But and they also have that documentary about folk horror right now that is like 3 hours long.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Is that the one on is that on Hulu?
So Shudder.
No, that's on Shudder.
Okay.
Dark Wood and something. I don't know.
Oh my
but
God.
it's like just over 3 hours long, and it's I watched it in 2 days. It's so good. They mention every possible folk horror movie you could want, except for my favorite one of the past like 30 years.
Which is
Which
what?
one's that one? Wicker Man?
The Droving. Which is on Amazon Prime. It's so good. But yeah, they mentioned the Wicker Man in a big way. They don't spend enough time talking about Picnic at Hanging Rock, which is basically just Lana Del Rey the movie. But like, you know, whatever. That's fine.
Yeah. Michael, what else is in your book besides zombies?
Oh gosh,
your short stories.
It's got 9 stories, right?
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily have a really definite theme that ties it all together, but I did definitely try to like incorporate each of the classic monsters. So there's like a ghost story, and there's a zombie story, and a vampire story, et cetera, et cetera. So, um, I would say that, gosh, I know Rob is a big fan of one of the haunting stories, Chatterbox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Leslie said that was her favorite one in there.
Yeah,
That's definitely my favorite one. That's the one that, like, when I read it, I was like, yeah, we're publishing this.
I really like the first story, the cult story. I like that one a lot.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that was
So
ridiculous.
your collection actually won an award, right? 2020
Yeah.
best score for indies today.
Yep. That was really exciting, and yeah, that's pretty fun.
I mean, to show off in front of Robert to have, you know, like an award-winning book.
Get that fancy sticker on that book now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. There they are.
Oh gosh,
that was fun
So,
putting them on the cover.
Yeah.
So all the stories sort of have a little twist at the end. Was that something you set out to do, to make them all sort of have that little twist?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm a huge, like, growing up, I was a massive fan of anthology series like Twilight Zone and
Outer Limits.
Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt. So yeah, definitely a huge fan of the classic twist.
And they all had a little, like, kind of pulp feel. Like the vampire one had a little pulpy feel, and the zombie one did too. So yeah, sort of the quiet horror, and you're using all these nice big fancy words, sound real smart, but then you've got that pulp factor in there too that blended it all together real nice.
Oh yeah, huge fan of pulp. Yeah, definitely. And if I could give a quick shout out, there's an author friend who's an acquaintance of both Rob and I, who had a collection come out just recently. Lamont Turner, he had a collection come out, and oh gosh, the title of the collection escapes me at the moment, but yeah, he really does an excellent job of writing in that particular style. Souls in a Blender, that's the title of the collection.
That's a cool title.
Yeah, it is.
He's
It's
a
a good one.
tremendous writer. Lamont's a tremendous writer for sure.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of reviews for your book where people have listened to the audiobook and they really dug the audio narration.
Hey, tell Leslie to hold on. Let us get to it.
It's on Jay's notes. It's on our list.
It is because Rob sent it to me. Was it last summer? I have an issue with audiobooks. I try to get into it, but yeah, I have it. Come on, Leslie. Give us a second, would you?
What is your issue with audiobooks?
Oh, I just can't do them. That's all.
Why?
I don't like them either.
He has the concentration of a 2-year-old.
Yeah, I know. My attention span is squirrel.
Oh, I love listening to them when I have to do errands.
See, I think some of it is I've tried to do it while I'm working, and the work I do is pretty involved. So I'm like, if I'm sending an email, to somebody,
you're typing out whatever
I've missed 16 minutes of whatever I was just listening to. I'm like, shit,
yeah,
I can't.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Like I could do it if I'm like picking stuff at the grocery store or driving, but like we have a friend, she listens to it on like 2 times speed while she's at work, and I don't understand how she comprehends anything she listens to.
Jeez.
I actually tried.
It depends on the type of book. So I live in Wyoming, which does exist.
It is a real place.
I have no beef with Wyoming at all.
So if we have to go to the city, it's a pretty considerable drive. So when I'm driving, that's a really excellent setting for listening to an audiobook. But if you don't have to make such a transit, I suppose, you're not as inclined to partake in audiobooks.
See, I don't think I could do it driving either, like on a trip, because
really,
I don't. And I'm not saying it's boring. I just think it would make me be so relaxed. I don't want to do that while I'm driving. Like I got to have some kids screaming at each other in the back seat or listening to some music that keeps me going.
Gotcha.
So like I try to actually listen to audiobooks every now and then when I go for walks, and then I'll get like 2 or 3 blocks or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I need something to keep me pumping, and I'll change it over to music. And that's just me. I mean, but books work for a lot of people. So, and I know yours had multiple people doing it, so that's pretty cool.
Well, no, actually, it doesn't, and I've noticed that in a couple of the reviews, and I think that's actually a testament to the individual who did the audiobook. It's actually one.
It's just one person doing all of it.
Yes, and
nice.
he was actually doing multiple voices, and I think he did just such an outstanding job. And again, I think that the common misconception that it's multiple people is a testament to his.
I mean, it had me fooled. I thought it was like a whole cast doing bits and pieces and parts.
His name is Jonathan Sleep, and he does a lot of work with Saturn V Sound. They're the ones who did my collection. They're really, really super professional and super fast. So that was really cool. And what I loved about when we did the audiobook for Michael's collection is they wanted Michael involved every single step of the way, which was really neat. Because like that doesn't. I had an audiobook done for my first collection, and it was similar process, but like I just kind of was like, yeah, man, do what you got to do, and he did it, and he was fabulous. But Saturn V Sound was like, hey, how do you feel about this? Hey, how do you feel about it was really, really great experience.
So as an indie sort of small press, how do you go about? Do you do auditions with different narrators, or do you put it out there? Are you wanting to do an audiobook and seek out different, I guess, recording studios, or how do you go about that?
I've done it both ways. With the first book, with my first collection, I auditioned a couple people, and then I found the guy that ended up doing it on YouTube, actually, and asked if he would be interested in doing it. He read one of my stories on YouTube, and then I asked him if he was interested in doing the whole thing, and he did it. And then in the case with Michael's collection, they found us through a mutual friend, and I truth be told, I don't think I would go with anybody else.
They spoiled you now, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah. There's been a little bit of talk of them doing my second collection. And that will actually be a multiple cast production.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 actors on tap for that.
You know what we ought to do is get Alexis's book here, have these pictures become motion activated and have them read the quotes.
The only person I would ever want to read it is Keith Morrison from Dateline. If he can't do it, I'm not interested.
You have any contact information? We'll try to make it happen.
No. You won't return my calls.
He's got a restraining order.
So, Michael, was this the first time you've had your work in audio format?
It is, yeah. And I feel very spoiled and privileged in having my work published in that fashion.
Is that sort of surreal to have your work out there and be able to listen to someone else read your words?
Oh gosh, yes, absolutely, yeah.
Do you have a favorite story from the collection?
Gosh,
if you were wanting to have someone check out your work, which story would you put in front of them?
Maybe In the Hot Seat. That's probably the one that I'm most partial to, but I mean that could change given the day.
Why do you think it's that one? Why do you? Because you've told me that.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think that it's kind of congealed in a nice way.
That's fair.
Have you only done short stories, or have you written anything longer, like novellas or novels or anything?
Only short stories currently. I'd like to eventually tackle something long form, but I'm currently content with the short story.
You have a lot in the bank ready to go for the next collection, or
not really? I've got 2, and then I'm currently working on one, but I hope to before not too long. I just recently finished my master's degree, and that was eating up a lot of spare time, and so hopefully I'm really hoping to have more time to dedicate to writing.
Alexis, is that somebody you know? That Dream Library? Is that somebody you know?
It's my brother.
Okay.
I'm having tech problems and I have to move my computer, so I'm gonna duck out and I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh, you're fine.
Sorry.
Michael, welcome to the Master's Degree Club.
Yeah. Says the guy who has 2. I still don't.
3. All the smart people.
What?
I have 3 now. Yeah.
When did that happen?
Well, I mean, you could do it
August.
easily online, Michael. Come on.
Oh my gosh. Well, I did mine online and it took,
Right, but I mean, you could
Like,
just print off a certificate. Nobody would know.
Yeah.
At this
Just
point, I should
Photoshop.
be able to,
Just Photoshop it.
It's like Monopoly rules. I should be able to cash in my 3 for a doctorate.
There you go.
Actually, we could probably get Alexis to draw one for us.
There you go.
There you go.
So Rob, what is the third one in?
English as a new language.
Dang. Congrats. Oh my god.
I love it, man. I love English as a new language.
Yeah.
I love teaching English to people not from here. It is
That's
the most.
awesome.
It is the most
Your third
thrilling.
master, your same pay grade. Sorry, I just had to throw that out. I'm sorry.
What's that?
So your third master's and your same pay grade. So.
Oh no, it goes up, baby. Danny Nicholas, hello. He's the artist who did the cover of Michael's collection. He's here. That's awesome.
Oh, nice, cool.
I
Thanks for
like
stopping
the
by.
cover a
Appreciate
lot.
it.
Yeah, he's super talented.
Yeah, super scary talented dude. I got a quick story while Alexis is gone about Danny. I was trying to get Danny to draw a thing for a couple friends of mine for Christmas, and it just ended up not working out because like time got away. But like I was trying to commission him for like another thing. It's like I don't know what happened. Like it was probably I don't know. It fell apart. But I was trying to get him to draw like. Do you guys remember in Ghostbusters when they have like the 3 Ghostbusters and they're done in like cartoon format or whatever during like the Casey Kasem thing when they're talking about the Ghostbusters getting popular? I was trying to get Danny,
on the magazine covers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
I was trying to get Danny to draw that with me and my 2 best friends' faces on it. It would have been so stupid, but like I know Danny would have knocked it out of the park.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he was like the first and only person. You know what? Alexis would do a good job with it too. But like, yeah, Danny was my first.
So, Michael, did you have any?
Remember the Ghostbusters cartoon?
Because
by the way.
he did a similar picture. But yeah, Danny's a scary, talented dude.
Yeah.
Did you have any say in what your cover looked like, or did you just give him any ideas, like sort of rough ideas?
So I need to sing Rob's praises. He kept me involved in the whole publishing process and the building of the book, and I, very sincerely appreciated that. I actually found a kind of an inspiration picture, and then I showed that to Danny, and then he just kind of did his interpretation of that.
Mm-hmm.
That was a cool process. So like Danny was good too about checking in with like, not week to week. He was actually like it seemed like every other day or every third day he would check in with progress and stuff like that. So that was actually that was cool to like see it come together. And then it was cool too to translate it to a book cover also. Like that was really because he drew it all out by hand.
Yeah.
So,
and he did multiple versions too.
Yeah.
So how's that go about finding him? Did you just put like a big post out looking for someone to do it, and he approached you, or did you approach him? Or
so I actually approached Danny. Danny is also a writer, and I met Danny. My first print published story. It was in a magazine. It no longer exists, unfortunately, but it was a publication called Serial Magazine. And both Danny and Lamont, who I mentioned earlier, they both had stories in that edition. And of course, I reached out to him and found out that he was a fantastic artist. So yeah, that's how we made that connection.
Okay.
Do you have any horror like movies or anything that inspired you or any of your stories specifically? Like, you said you're big fan of zombies and was the Living Dead, you said?
I'm a huge fan. George Romero all the way. Love George Romero, love John Carpenter, 80s horror in particular, but other than that, nothing else. Well, of course, Lovecraft,
minus the racism.
Yeah, of course.
I wasn't gonna bring it up, but thanks, Rob.
You're the second one to mention that today. I had a student actually earlier today, believe it or not, bring that up. But anyway,
what, Lovecraft. Well, look, hang on. He started changing. Like he did start to like realize that he was being small-minded towards like the end of his life. So
yeah,
you know, and not to defend him at all, but it's sort of the time he lived in as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
it's still inexcusable.
Well, and thankfully,
I didn't say I'm not defending him, Jay.
I think you
thankfully,
are.
I mean,
I love Lovecraft. He's got him tattooed right here.
Nice. Well,
No,
as far
just
as I'm
joking.
aware, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's only like his really lesser works that really feature the prominent racism, and his more acclaimed works, it's not really present.
Shadow over Innsmouth, you could say.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right there.
Look, like again, it was product of the times, and in his correspondence with friends and stuff, he was starting to realize the error of his ways. Don't say this in front of St. Joshi, like he'll say that Lovecraft was racist or whatever.
I think I'm a bigger fan of the people he inspired than I am of him.
No, yeah.
So yeah,
I would. I could back that.
I don't know. I'd say Color Out of Space might be my favorite short story of all time.
Wow. I didn't know that. Interesting.
Possibly. I don't know. I'm also a big fan of Paul Wilson's Soft, if you're familiar.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a good one.
Alexis, do you do any kind of writing or as far as books or stories?
Yeah, Jay, she wrote a book here, don't you know?
Besides that, I mean, I'm talking about like short stories and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I minored in writing, so I do love to write, and I'm trying to work some of that into my next project. But everybody in my family loves H.P. Lovecraft. My brother, who is harassing me on the chat, is definitely a big fan, but I've never read any of his. I do love horror novels and horror movies, but I am not familiar with H.P. Lovecraft.
I've only read a few of his short stories, like maybe 3 or 4, and they weren't any of his big popular ones.
He's got the Rats in the Walls is really that's
a good one.
Yeah.
Oh no, I lost points apparently because I don't like Lovecraft.
It's all right. Like I do in a lot of ways. Like Jay, I agree with you that like the people that he inspired, I'm more interested.
Right.
in.
I mean, it's a generational thing, probably. You know, it's just there's several different generations after that, and I think just he inspired them. They probably took stuff they learned from him and they expanded it, and then people after them expanded it more and more and more. So
yeah,
it's all good. It all comes back to a foundation.
Yeah.
So Alexis, you said you haven't really read much Lovecraft. Do you have any horror inspirations?
Yeah, let me think. I mean, I love Stephen King. That's pretty.
Of course.
He's a little-known author. You might be familiar with.
I think he's only got a couple books. I think.
It's an indie guy from the Northeast.
He's struggling.
Yeah, I'm in my room right now. Harvest Home, speaking of pastoral horror, is definitely one of my favorite books.
I've got that one on my list to read. I haven't read it yet, but I really want to.
I love
Who's
it.
that by?
Is it
Harvest
Thomas
Home?
Thomas Pynchon? Is that right?
Brian.
Thomas Bryan, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorites. Looking at that right now, and I mean, gosh, I do love short stories. I mean, for scary, I'm trying to think Joyce Carol Oates, her horror stories are some of my favorites too. And now we got some more Lovecraft comments here.
We're living in like a really cool age of really great short horror fiction. So it's like there's so much of it, and a lot of it is just so ridiculous and so good, you know.
Well, Leslie, who's also in the chat, just posted about the Stephen King story Strawberry Spring, and that was probably my favorite story of his. It's really cool, and that one I guess is probably more literary fiction in a way, but it's.
Is that in Graveyard Shift?
Night Shift.
Night Shift.
Night Shift,
Night Shift,
yeah.
or yeah,
I-
Night
I
Shift.
think so.
Yeah.
I like that one and Last Rung on the Ladder, which really isn't a horror story at all. But
Yeah,
that
that
might
one
be
is
my
really
favorite
good.
story from that whole collection.
Well, I mean, that's the thing with like Stephen King. Everyone's like, "Oh, horror" with Stephen King, only because some of his bigger things were horror. But I mean, he does a lot of literary fiction and a lot of fantasy stuff mixed in.
And now he's really going to like crime and stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, just his big 5 or 6, of course, are horror, but beyond that, there's a lot of literary fiction in there that you can find. A lot of fantasy stuff, like the whole Dark Tower stuff. That could be considered fantasy. So
it's totally fantasy.
Yeah,
The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon is like literary horror,
right.
in so many ways. It's beautiful, and obviously, like, Want to See a Dead Body. That's literary fiction. It's beautiful.
So do either three of do y'all have any aspirations to write stuff outside of horror? Like crime or thriller or anything like that? Or just...
Alexis, you go first.
Oh, I mean, I kind of already talked about it, but the story I'm working on now is more like maybe strange and maybe a little surreal, but it's definitely not horror. But I don't know. I mean, I think that is such a great skill to have, to really be able to write something scary that sticks with people. It's hard. It's so easy to screw it up,
Yeah.
And there's been a few books that have come out like last year and year before last that are not horror, like Betty by Tiffany McDaniel, Songbirds and Stray Dogs by Megan Lucas. They're like Southern Grit Lit, Ohio area. They're not horror, but they bleed the edge of horror. A lot of horror fans really like those books because of the themes in there. Like, it's just, there's murder and death and
there's a lot of dark
rape
fiction
and sexual assault, dark fiction stuff
some
that
dark stuff in there.
The horror fans seem to really gravitate to, and sort of, they've welcomed those authors into the horror community, even though they're not really horror authors.
I would think I read more dark fiction than I do horror, but I just combine the two of them, kind of. So
Horror adjacent.
Yeah. Because that umbrella of horror, it's got so many subgenres underneath it. So
yeah, like you can look at you can even make a case for The Only Good Indians. It's like, yeah, that's a supernatural story, but it's really more literary fiction,
right?
Than anything else.
That's
phenomenal. I'm not done
book.
with it, so don't ruin it. Please.
I'm sorry, I won't. Well, when you're done, we'll talk about it because I've read it twice and it's. Not
Do you like it? Do you like it so far, Alexis?
I do. It's a strange one for sure. But I like it. I bought it from my dad. Also, we'll see if he likes it. I just reread a book, which sounds so ludicrous, but I just love it so much. Which is a kind of horror sci-fi book about mermaids that start eating everyone. That's one of my favorite.
That's a kid
What's it
book.
called?
It's called Into the Drowning Deep, and it's a really, really cool and fun book with lots of kind of interesting. I assume they're facts, maybe they're not. About like oceanography and different nature science things. But that book is really fun. If you have any interest in kind of monster horror books, I highly recommend it. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would love to see Michael write like a pure monster horror book. That would be intense.
Just straight up creature feature.
Yeah.
I love creature features.
I know you do. That's why I'm like, yeah, you'd be good at that.
You got to make it really pulpy, like late night Friday nights on USA. How it was edited for TV type movies.
But don't edit it for TV.
Right.
So, Michael, do you see yourself writing anything outside of just straight up strictly horror?
When you initially asked that question, my gut instinct was no. I'm like, I don't know what it is about me, but I just really strongly gravitate towards horror. That doesn't mean that I haven't enjoyed other genres. Like I've surprised myself and have really enjoyed, straightforward dramas, et cetera, et cetera. But the vast majority of the time, I'm just really drawn towards horror. That being said, the two stories that I have had published outside of the collection is, I would describe them both as kind of sci-fi horror. So, I mean, that's kind of going a little bit outside of my comfort zone. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, you had at least one story in your collection. I can't remember what it's called now. It's near the end about
Space for Amateurs.
the Chinese. Yeah, Space for Amateurs. That one's sci-fi, kind of cosmic-y a little bit.
Yeah.
The story that you're talking about is, I feel like the science fiction is like the natural extension for a horror writer in a lot of ways, just because it's like, again, it's like horror adjacent, but it allows you to get even weirder.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I've had a couple science fiction stories published, and I found like the flexibility to get really weird in a literary way, like in structure, especially with one of them. Was a really cool way to stretch my legs a little bit outside of like the strict horror conventions or whatever. So like, you know,
Well, that's cool because I think horror is one of those genres that you could probably fit into almost anything that you write. So I mean, if you're writing sci-fi, you can put some horror in there. If you're writing fantasy, you can make it dark fantasy, put some horror. If you're doing just straight lit fic, then yeah, you could probably put some kind of horror because it's found everywhere. Just a horror of the car crash or a horror of a murder or whatever. You can fit that in almost any genre and get away with it and be under that horror umbrella. So
for sure, like Bret Easton Ellis he doesn't get credit for being a horror writer, but like most of his stuff, I would say, is horror. Or Chuck Palahniuk, same thing. Like Fight Club is a horror story,
right? Yeah. So
was it my turn?
Yeah, Rob.
What are you working on?
You
got anything going on new, Rob?
Yeah. I have a YA trilogy that's going to be coming out with Raventail Press, and the first one's going to be out this year. The first in the trilogy is going to be out this year. It's a YA dystopian horror trilogy, and the first one's going to be this year. Just found out today that it's for sure going to be this year.
That's not the
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is that the cosmic-y horror one that we sort of talked about last time?
Yeah, it's going to get real cosmic and weird.
What's the name of that one?
It's called The Triangle.
Okay.
The Triangle.
And you sent us a link to a Kickstarter. Is that an anthology?
Yes, I have a story in a wonderful anthology that's with a bunch of other people from the Horror Writers Association of New York. It's called Even in the Grave, and the Kickstarter goes live, I think, next month, it might say. But I think, I sent you the link, and you can sign up for updates about that. But a lot of really talented people in there. A good friend of mine, John Collins, is going to be in there, and he is a staggering talent. The guy's like a literary chameleon. It's insane. Like one day he writes like Peter Straub, the next day he writes like Bradbury. It's really wild. It's like he's all over the place. It's great. But Carol Geisander and James Chambers. Carol was in the chat earlier. Carol and James Chambers are the editors of that collection, or the anthology rather, and really, really excited to be in that one. All of the stories have to have like a New York bend to them. Okay. And my story is about a very like famous Long Island, because I'm from Long Island. I live on Long Island. I want to leave Long Island. Very famous Long Island First Nations or Native American legend of sort of like a Lady in the Lake kind of thing.
Okay.
And my story is sort of rooted in that. And I'm really stoked to be in that collection with some really wonderful people.
What did I see on the Spooky Press website? What the girl on the floor? Is that what it's called? What is that one?
I love that story.
Forgot about that. Yeah, the girl on the floor is a thing I have on Kindle Vella.
Oh no, I read that. What am I thinking? Never mind. Okay, I saw I was looking at your website earlier. Okay, my apologies.
That's all good.
I've read so many things. I start mixing the titles and the plots and everything. So
I get you, man. That happens to me, dude. Like when we were open for submissions, we were getting stuff like every other day.
Yeah. And
I was doing my damnedest to read like as much as I possibly could. And I was at a certain point, I said to my editor, Lewis, I was like, bro, you got to take over some of this. Like, you got to help me because I'm drowning right now. And he took over like 30% of it. And then eventually, like right around the time we were getting ready for to go hardcore into Alexis's book, I was like, we got to close down for submissions because like I just can't. And we still get messages about it, which is nice. Like I'm very happy to get like messages on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and stuff like asking when we're going to open again for submissions. But it probably won't be until the spring if it happens in the spring because like there's a project with Alexis.
Yeah,
Possibly.
well, that's when people are noticing you if they keep reaching out. And
Yeah, and it's great. Like I'm very happy with people reaching out and the reception to Michael's book and Alexis's book. It's dope, man. I love it.
So do you see Spooky House Press like staying open to more creative things like Alexis's book and no kind of limit? I mean, if somebody comes to you with like a lit fic or something, you'd be open to check it out and going with it? Okay.
For sure. I would love to sort of grow it beyond just horror. And that was a big reason why I wanted to publish Alexis's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like, it comes down to like, if I like it and if it speaks to me and if it moves me, like, I don't care if it makes $1. Like, I just want to see this stuff out there. Thankfully, I'm certainly not disappointed with how things have been. But yeah, if it speaks to me, I'm going to want to publish it. I was there was an author I was talking to. I could say it. His book's out already, but we missed the opportunity to publish his book. It was Eric Hansen's All Things Deadly Salem Stories, which is just it's like it's such an unbelievable collection.
I was seeing it floating around. You missed out on it? Come on.
Yeah, because he sent it to us. Okay. And I read it and I loved it. And I sent it to my editor, Lewis. And I was like, let me know like as soon as you can because I want to know like what's up. And Lewis dropped the ball and didn't email me back right away. And I was like, asshole, like, are we going to do this or what? And he's like, yeah, I emailed you back and told you we should do it. And he didn't. So that's, so we missed out. But like,
we're clearing some air now. We're in the confessional parts now.
Our loss was D&T's gain, and that's a fabulous collection. And Eric deserves every bit of love he gets for it. It's such a great collection. So like, I couldn't be.
I'll
happy.
second that.
Right, like, and he's a great guy. Like EC Eric Hansen is a sweet dude.
Well, Jay, you're on the D&T street team, aren't you?
Yeah, I do like to see, like the smaller press. It seems like they're really supportive of each other. I like seeing that. And it's not like, well, we're going to beat you this year because we signed so and so and so and so and so. It's a very supportive system. That what I've seen so far, because I've been reviewing now for D&T for a few weeks, and there's probably 7 or 8, companies sending me their stuff to check out, and it's not in any kind of competitive way or anything. So
it's like Sonoris. Cool. It's like Sonora said, instead of taking seats away, they're just making more room at the table, getting a bigger table.
Right.
I was so happy she said that too, because that's exactly how, like, that's with the horror community specifically, like that's how it feels. Like we're not closing off anything. It's the rising tide lifts all boats is generally how it feels in the horror community. But I just have to ask Jay, did you get Doug Ford's Beasts of Visaria County?
No, I started right after. I could probably get it, but
get it.
Yeah.
Get it. Not just because I blurbed it on the back, but get it 'cause it's damn good.
Yeah.
So what's on the horizon for Spooky House Press? Can we expect anything new this year to come out that you can tease us with?
2022 is probably going to be kind of anemic. We have Alexis's book that's, technically that's 2021 because it came out in December, but I think we'll probably. What's that?
It just made it for 2021.
I would love to put out a novella of some kind this year. Mm-hmm. So if we open up again in the spring, it might be just for novellas. I don't really know, but there was I wanted to do an anthology of horror, but I don't know because like my wife and I might be moving. I don't know what's happening, but as of right now. We've got something that Alexis and I just started literally like yesterday, started talking about. And so there's always the anthology that I want to do in the back of my mind. And there's definitely 2 people are in the room right now that will have invites to that And
me and you, Jay, we're getting some
I know.
invites.
All right.
Yes.
I may finally get an acceptance this time.
But yeah, so there's a lot of things that we want to do. I also, like I said, I have that 3-book deal, so I'm like super focused on banging out those other 2 books. And I have this story that's going to be in this, and actually my debut horror novel is, I'll say this, it's with a publisher right now.
Okay.
Oh.
So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but got some, cross everything. Cross all the things.
You did that so quick. I would have to.
I know. That was awesome.
My arthritis is not letting me do that. No.
But yeah, so that's kind of like the focus for me in 2022 right now. But like I really would like to do a novella.
Because they're so popular too.
Yeah, I love novellas. Yeah.
Yeah. So
like Jay said a million times, it's like the perfect outlet for horror because it's like a 90-minute horror movie.
Yeah, it's absolutely spot on. I don't know, like it's sky's the limit. If something comes my way when we reopen for submissions, and I'm like, oh yeah, that'll be, that'll be the next thing. But I like what Alexis and I have been kicking around. It's too early, but like again, I really like.
I know. Is it something sort of similar in vein to this with Alexis, or something kind of different?
I would say it's pretty similar.
Similar.
So I have a question for Alexis, if that's okay.
It's not, but you can go ahead anyway.
Alexis, so I remember seeing the book trailer that you put together for Rob's collection, and I'm just curious. I mean, I was blown away by it. I thought it was really awesome, and I'm just wondering how long that took you to put together.
Well, it was a group effort. I mean, my brother, who may or may not still be in the chat, I don't know, he did the audio portion, and our friend Ben, I believe that we kind of all like collaborated on it. So gosh, I mean, I don't know, probably a month or so. It wasn't a huge thing. I mean, it's such a great fit. My brother's he's also an excellent writer. But he is a musician, so he's got lots of great recording equipment, so he can really do the sound. I wouldn't have any clue how to do that. So it was a great, he's still there. It's a great fit to do that sort of thing.
So he has his own like studio and all that stuff, or you have to go someplace special, or?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got, I don't know that he has his own studio, but he's in Tucson. He's been playing with some big bands down there, and so he's always got access to that stuff, and he's got his home recording equipment. So between the two of us, it's nice that we can kind of come at it from both sides, I guess.
Or you can make a studio in a basement, but so.
Yeah, so it's cool. I mean, another thing, I guess, too, I just think about, 10, 15 years ago, this technology was just not available, at least not to me. Yep, there he is.
Yeah.
This is his other YouTube channel with some music, too, if anybody's interested in some soothing music for studying or whatever. Maybe not driving, as you mentioned earlier. But, yeah, it's just fantastic to have all this relatively affordable for almost anyone. Pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah. I would have one in my living room if it wasn't for a wife and 2 kids, but
it's all their fault, right, Jay?
Yeah, it is. It is.
I always look at your setup, Jay, and I'm always like, that is dope. Like his setup looks awesome where he is. Like, I don't know.
You can't see the big pink castle's gone now. Can't see it back there.
Oh, we got rid of the pink castle. I'm in the basement, and it's like the catch-all. I'm working right there when I work from home. Like I'm in the office 2 days a week, 2 or 3 days a week. So when I'm home, I'm working there. But you can't see what's over here. So.
What is your day job?
It's a county government job.
Nice.
I guess I could say it that way. Yeah.
I would love a county government job. Yeah. Oh my god, that's like the dream. Actually, no, that's not the dream. The dream is just to be
Be an author.
That's the dream, and write my dumb little stories and publish other cool.
Yeah,
people
trust me. What I do is not a dream, but what I do supports the family and has great benefits. So
that's all that matters.
That's
man.
all that matters right now.
Yeah.
So that's why I do stuff like this for my little side project, hobby stuff. Robert, you probably know, but I worked in radio for 10 years or so. So that's why I do like audio stuff and
It's awesome. Well, you have like the radio, like the second I heard you speak, I was like, this fucking guy's been in radio. Like, shut up.
And then you saw his face. It's like he's got a perfect face.
I got the perfect face for radio, right? Yeah.
My dad was a DJ here in New York for like the longest time. He actually broke the Amityville horror thing live on air.
Yeah.
That was cool. Yeah, it happened literally like across the bay.
Yeah, my buddy Clyde's
station one.
My buddy Clyde's in here. Did I say our job properly, Clyde? It's not a dream. It's not a dream. Yep.
But yeah, so like I get the radio vibe for sure. I've got like a lot of my dad's friends are still in radio and stuff, and they hit me up. But like, yeah, I think we all have day jobs. Michael and I are both English language arts teachers and whatnot. So
What grade do you teach, Michael?
High school, 10th through 12th.
So do you try to incorporate any horror stuff into your curriculums or anything?
Yeah, I do. I try not to overdo it, but
do you have your book on the shelf in the classroom for
I've been tempted.
Extra credit for
an example of the right way to do this. Hey, that name looks familiar there.
I do have a captive audience. They have to. I put together all the example essays, so they have to read those. It'd be overkill to make them read the book.
Do you have required things that they need to read, like the stuff that your school makes you make them read?
Oh no.
Okay.
Lots of teacher autonomy, which is awesome.
That's cool.
Nice.
What type of books do you like to teach in class?
I try to. I actually had this conversation with a colleague just recently. I do try to do a mix of classics and more contemporary works. I personally enjoy teaching the classics. They tend to facilitate the deeper discussions, but as far as buy-in, the kids are much more into the contemporary stuff.
Yeah.
We had
funny.
Mitch Seaborn on.
Yeah.
Robert, you might know Mitch Seaborn, right? Yeah, he's a teacher too. We got into a big discussion about stuff he had to have him read and stuff he tried to get him to read. And I think did he say he had the support of his school to bring in some of his?
Yeah, his school was real supportive, letting him bring outside stuff in. But he said out of the classics, his students really gravitated towards Macbeth the most.
Oh, that's my favorite Shakespeare. I love Macbeth.
Yeah. I tried. I actually was putting together in secret. Since I guess last year, a unit on the Only Good Indians. I was trying to get the Only Good Indians. Yeah, and I've worked on it. I've put some stuff together, and my school rejected it. So
why? What was their basis?
They don't want diverse voices.
Is that what they said?
Yeah, they thought it would be too triggering for the kids to introduce a text featuring diverse voices.
Huh.
They did? They really said that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, I thought so too. So I was like,
I mean, but they're going to go turn on the TV and see all the diverse stuff on TVs, and they're not going to get triggered by that.
No,
gosh,
or their music or whatever it is they're doing.
Right.
Or video games.
They're going to see the news and see how divided everything is, but that you can't read a freaking book.
Really spoiled in that regard. I teach stuff as eclectic as Maya Angelou's Why the Caged Bird Sings and Ken Kesey's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So
I'm
awesome.
I'm in a new place, and so that was the reaction. But so it's a huge bummer. But I'm very lucky because I find that my students are reacting really well to some classics lately. Also, we're reading Frankenstein right now, and
awesome.
Yeah,
I'm going to try to read that for the first time in March. I haven't read it before.
It's so good.
My wife reads it all the time, and she cries at all the same parts, and which is great. But it's so my seniors are loving Frankenstein. My 11th graders are really vibing with Gatsby, and that makes me happy because, like, to me, Gatsby's like the greatest American novel, and like I can never get enough of Gatsby, and it's not because I'm on Long Island and I'm from Long Island. That's not the reason why.
Okay,
but like it's just they're connecting with it, and they connect with the humor in it more than they are connecting to like the overarching story. But like. I get real charged up when I'm teaching Gatsby. Like I find myself doing all different voices for the characters, and they all get it. And like I just do it naturally. So like when I sit with the they're just like, Mr. O, you do a really good 1920s flighty woman. And I was like, really like so like I found like so I was reading Tom Buchanan, and I'm strutting around the classroom like him as I'm reading stuff, and I'm like got like this swagger and stuff. So much so that one of my students drew a picture of Tom Buchanan that like loosely looks like me. Nice. And I was like, you're a savage. I love it. I hung it on the bulletin board outside of my room.
So Michael, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I can relate to that. I feel really bad sometimes because when we read Shakespeare aloud, I can't help but give myself the best parts.
I love playing Mercutio, man, doing the Queen Mab speech.
Oh, yeah. A pox on both your houses.
And like we finished Lord of the Flies because I teach 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. I did Lord of the Flies with the 9th graders, and they got freaked out when I was playing Jack, and they were really cute, like watching me play Simon talking to the pig's head. They were like, they got like kind of freaked out. I was just like, pig's head on a stick. Like I was really vibing.
You were able to do Lord of the Flies, but you can't do Stephen Graham Jones.
It's white kids. Lord of the Flies, everybody's white. So white British kids.
No, I mean it's just.
I know. Dude. I could tell you more.
No.
It's not the only book that got.
That's for the after show.
That's for the after show Patreon stuff. Yeah.
So, Michael, have you got to teach anything like sort of Stephen Graham Jones, Hooligan Indians, anything sort of in that similar vein, or is that anything you would want to venture out and try to teach? Or
so now that I'm credentialed to teach the English for College class, I wanted to teach Devil in the White City. So that's the but I wasn't able
is that Eric Larson?
Yes. Yeah. About H.H. Holmes, America's first serial killer. And it's a huge book, and I just wasn't able to fit it in. So maybe next year. But the closest to that would be honestly Macbeth. So
Beth.
Yeah.
Are you going to use the Denzel Macbeth in the classroom? Because I am.
I really want to see that.
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard good things.
It just came out today.
Okay.
But yeah,
I don't know if you all are into poetry at all, but there's a poetry collection by Sarah Tanglinger called. What's it called? Hold on,
that's the one that's like inspired by H.H. Holmes. By the way, Sarah Tanglinger, she's so awesome.
I don't know where it's at, but yeah, it's all poetry inspired by H.H. Holmes. And that was my first introduction to horror poetry. Like before, I was like, I could have cared less about poetry, but that was like just blew my mind that poetry could be this other thing. And she sort of starts out at the beginning of his life and works all the way through to his death. And then there was that show where like the guy thought he was related to H.H. Holmes or something like that. They dug him up, and she even has a poem about that too.
You got to check out, if you're getting into horror poetry, read everything that Linda Addison has ever written. And also pick up Tortured Willows by Lee Murray and Ginny Flynn, I think, is in there also, and Christina Singh.
Oh, Christina Singh, I've read her.
I have some Christina Singh.
Nightmares and Dreamscapes, I think it's called. That was really good. And Stephanie Wojtowicz, her stuff's really good too. Apocalyptic Mannequin.
Staggering talents in that Tortured Willows collection.
Right.
Yeah, but if you are a fan of H.H. Holmes, I suggest you pick up Sarah Tanlinger's poetry collection. I can't remember what it's called, but it's got H.H. Holmes on the cover. It's really, really good. I think it won the Bram Stoker, or it was nominated at least.
I think
Is that a fairly recent release?
2019, I want to say, because it was in a Nightworms package. I think it was November 2019, somewhere in there. So yeah, it's pretty recent.
I could never get into poetry. I hate teaching poetry. I'm not a poetry guy. When I have to do poetry, I do song lyrics. Like I use songs.
Like I wasn't into poetry either, and then I read her book just because it came in that package. Just like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
That's the connection to make with I try to look at poetry lyrically that way because I think of the bands I like, and read their lyrics because I'm more into bands that are more lyrical than anything, So I made that connection, so it's carried over into the poetry where I can appreciate it more if you look at it that way. Because when I was younger, I was like, I don't want to read this poem. I was just never into poetry, but
because it was for me. It was poetry. It was like, I'm not going to understand a word about what they're talking about, or it's like all about love, which I could have cared less about. But about H.H. Holmes, I'm down for that. About throwing the bodies in the lye pit and burning them up. Yeah, I'm all about that.
I wish they would do that movie because DiCaprio has been wanting to play H.H. Holmes for years.
I heard that they're moving forward. It's going to be a miniseries, and it's a different actor, and I can't remember who it was.
It'd be good as a miniseries.
We'll see.
Yeah, and it's not DiCaprio anymore.
Womp womp.
He kind of looks like him too, so he would be a good H.H. Holmes.
Yeah. I would like to see him do something that's straight horror. That's not what was that thing? Shutter Island.
Shutter Island. Oh. It was close. It was good. It was what's the director's name? I'm blanking.
Martin Scorsese.
Scorsese, yeah. I like Scorsese stuff.
Did he do Shutter Island?
Yeah, he did.
Because I wasn't a big fan of the movie, honestly. So, yeah.
I feel like if it would have come out 20 years ago, it would have been fantastic. But that kind of framework has just been used so much now that it's just like not, nothing against it on its own, but
And how old's the book? Is the book quite older than that, isn't it? It's been 10 years before the movie?
Yeah.
I mean, I probably read it like 10 years ago, and I don't know how long it was around before then.
Yeah.
Is that Dennis Lehane, the author of that?
He did Mystic River, right? Mystic River, which, by the way, that's a horror story. Like, Mystic River is horror. Like, that's a terrifying true crime. Well, not true crime, but like crime horror kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, that's a good story too. But yeah, I don't know. There's somebody with this similar kind of structure and ending as Shutter Island, that it's just like, I mean, I can rattle off 3 or 4 of them just like sitting here. So
Twilight Zone too is like feels like a lot of like Shutter. We've seen it in that too. Shutter Island's like kind of structure and twist. So yeah, for sure.
Well, as we start winding down some here, where can everyone find you? I know the Spooky House Press has a website, but each of you, where can everyone find you? Instead of looking in your window, I mean, but as far as your socials.
Rob, where can they find you at?
You can find me at Robert Ottone, RobertOttone, and that's on the Twitter.com and the Instagram.
On the Twitter.
Yeah. What's that?
On that tweeting machine.
On the tweet machine, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can find me at the spookyhousepress.com and all of that good stuff. All of that good stuff.
Michael, where can they find you?
So my website, it's Michael Jess Alexander at WordPress.com. That's the best place.
Okay. You don't do a whole lot of Instagram or Twitter or anything?
Alexis and Michael are smart. Really. They're not on Twitter. They're very smart people.
I know, yeah. That guy over there made me get on Twitter like last year sometime, and it's dead.
Yeah.
But,
it's good to keep up with like the drama when there's like drama in the horror community. I literally, like the latest one, I messaged the person involved. I was like, "Yo, what happened?" And they spilled all the tea. It was great.
I try to stay out of all of that.
I am I am a Twitter stalker, so I'm well versed, but yeah, I don't dip my toe too deeply.
Cool.
Smart man. Well, Alexis, where can they find you at?
I'm on Instagram, and my primary page is Alexis_Aquarian. For the person who said they got me on Facebook, I don't know if he's still on the chat. I can't figure out the chat, but I don't get on Facebook. It's just still there because it's connected with some other account I have somewhere else. So
Yeah.
Really only on Instagram. And if people think that it's still a good idea to have a website, then I can look into that. I just, you know, I didn't know if it was worth it at this point or if people mainly do social media. I'm on LinkedIn too, but that's not fun. That's not fun at all.
Ask at our last episode that if others still thought that their websites were relevant. They all said yeah, because it's like a one-stop shop to find everything, and you can put all your socials there, and they can branch out from there.
And I think for Alexis, I mean, some of your artwork, like samples and stuff, would be on there if someone was looking for something along the lines of this for a book cover or for something else that they needed you to do. So that might work.
Comic strip or something.
But I mean, you would probably want to use the social media to steer them that way, right?
Yeah.
Like through Twitter and through Instagram to steer them that way. So
I just messaged the guy who said he friended you. I messaged him on Twitter. He follows me on Twitter. He's a sweet dude.
Oh, thank you.
Robert just wants that founder's fee. That's all.
That's fine.
25%.
I owe him a lot.
You know me.
Well, it's been a pleasure, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on this little shindig to be called Paper Cuts. Totally appreciate it. Spooky House Press right here for Alexis, Robert, and Michael. Thanks so much for stopping by. Everyone in the chat, thanks again for joining us as usual. Without you, we wouldn't do it, obviously. And that's what we do.
It just might maybe and you, Jay. Just
I know we can start doing it off air and editing stuff out. But yeah, that's going to do it. Another exciting episode of Paper Cuts. Thanks again for everyone for coming by. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having
me.
me.
Again. Stay safe. See ya.
Love you, Jay.